Hello, I am Leo West, joined alongside Jay Clark, and welcome into this edition of All Access with the Profs. And just like last week, and the week before, and the week before that, we saw another action-packed week of Rowan athletics.
Yeah, Leo, it feels as though Rowan just keeps putting together great game after great game. As Drake once said, trust me at the top, it isn't lonely. And Rowan knows exactly how that feels. Each and every team in the fall seems to get better game by game, match by match, minute by minute, and day by day. They're all climbing up to the top, and once they reach the summit, they'll find each other there.
Yeah, we have a jam-packed show today. We got the latest for Rowan athletics, Ian Harper and his calendar segment, Tape Talk with Mason Kinahan, and then everyone's favorite Jacob Michaud's Magic Minute, and plenty before we dive into all that. Football had a massive game against number 4 Salisbury. The Profs found themselves in do-or-die mode with the postseason hopes on the line. Now let's head down to Coach Richard Wacker Stadium for more. And so here at Coach Richard Wacker Stadium, the undefeated Salisbury Seagulls taking on the Profs. First play, Dario Belizaire gets the pitch, and he's sneaking into the end zone for a touchdown.
Yeah, the Seagulls certainly got off to a hot start on their first drive on offense as they were able to score there. But here come the Profs in the red zone. Nate Mayers is going to roll out to his left. He fires a bullet there to the freshman Jameer Rowe, who catches his first career touchdown and puts the Profs on the board. But wait, there's more. The offense stays out for the two-point conversion. It's Buchla in the Wildcat. He just flips it up, and Derek Nippel was able to catch that one. And now the Profs 8-7 at the end of the first.
So Salisbury gets the ball back. Cyrus McGowan's under center, man in motion. McGowan's going to find his man. That's Brubaker. Makes one man miss, makes two men miss, and he's going all the way into the end zone for a house call. Now the Profs, chance to respond. Here comes Mayers. Throws the ball. Rita, oh, he doesn't got it. That was 4th and 2. That was a critical drop.
Yeah, Rowan missed out on an opportunity there. Here come the Seagulls. They love running this triple option, but there's a mistake. McGowan loses the ball, and Xavier McBride falls on top of it. Big turnover there for the Profs. They're now set up shop in the red zone. Mayers rolls out right. Guess who? Jameer Rowe, another touchdown for the freshman.
Yeah, now here come the Seagulls again. Unloading is McGowan. He's got a man, Belizaire. He's got no one in front of him except just the green grass, and that's going to put up the Seagulls 21-14 going into the half. Now, the Profs, oh no, Nate Mayers, he fumbled it at the goal line. Critical drop.
Yeah, and it feels as though everything's going Salisbury's way, and Rowan takes it right back. A house call there, pick 6 for Jaden Everett to tie the game at 21 in the third. Rowan's got all the momentum. They force Salisbury to punt here early in the fourth. It's Shane Martin back. He fields it around the 25, starts running up the field, but the ball pops out. Salisbury's going to fall on top of it and get great field position in Profs territory.
Yeah, great field position indeed, and immediately the Seagulls look to respond, and oh, there you go, Darrell Walters sneaking through. He's got into the end zone for 6. Now 28-21, now 31-21. Mayers with a chance to respond for the Profs. Taking him back in the game. Unloads it. Uzi got Michael Zarfati. Big catch down the red zone.
Yeah, big catch and double coverage now in the red zone. It's Mayers to Buchla, who's got daylight in front of him. He's going to get in the end zone. 31-28. The Profs trail by just 3. And now a big stop here for Rowan's defense could get him the ball back. It's 3rd down. Again, the triple option. McGowan pitches, and he's got Mason Fisher, who's going to run all the way down to the 1-yard line, 53 yards, a big gainer with it, less than 2 minutes to go, and it ultimately ices the game there for the Seagulls.
Yeah, not only does it ice the game, it also probably ices Rowan's chance at any postseason play here, because unfortunately they lost to both undefeated teams, Christopher Newport and Salisbury, so unfortunately no Stag Bowl for them this year. So the Profs fall because of some critical turnovers in this game, 31-28. Now, let's send it over to Skylar Sweeney, who's got the latest on football.
Rowan football went toe-to-toe with 4th-ranked Salisbury, falling just short in a 31-28 heartbreaker. Quarterback Nate Mayers led the offense with 253 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Jameer Rowe caught 2 of those scores, while Nunez Buchla added another and combined with Tyshawn Bookman for over 100 rushing yards. The Profs matched Salisbury nearly yard for yard, 382 to 385, but a pair of second-half turnovers proved costly. Rowan's defense had a big movement too, with including Jaden Everett's pick six and a forced fumble by Xavier McBride. Despite the loss, it was an impressive showing from the Profs against one of the nation's top teams. Rowan is now 4-2-1 overall. Reporting from Richard Wacker Stadium, I'm Skylar Sweeney with All Access with the Profs. Sending it back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Skylar. A team that's at the top of its game is the women's soccer team. Rowan women's soccer has now climbed to 11th in the nation. Will the Profs play move them up in the rankings? To find out, here's Sydney Cella.
Thanks, Jake and Leo. It was right here at Rowan Soccer and Lacrosse Complex that the Profs defeated both of their opponents in shutout victories. Starting off last Wednesday, the Profs defeated Kane University with a score of 3-0. And last Saturday on senior night, they defeated the Ramapo Roadrunners with a score of 6-0. The Profs are now 13-1-1 on the season, 7-0-1 in conference play, and are ranked 11th in the nation. The seniors certainly made their mark during the game, with Olivia Giordano scoring 3 goals, earning her second career hat trick. Giordano also became one of 3 players in program history to score 50 career goals. Senior Liana Sanfelice also earned her second goal of the season on a penalty kick. With the win, the Profs have now defeated Ramapo 29 times in program history, dating back to 1996. Looking ahead, the Profs will focus on their last regular season matchup as they prepare for the NJAC playoffs. From Rowan Soccer and Lacrosse Complex, I'm Sydney Cella, All Access with the Profs.
Thanks, Sydney. Now moving on to men's soccer. Last time the Profs went out, they got a huge tie against number 20th ranked Montclair State. Can Rowan keep up their fine form and pick up some more wins? Here's Dylan Corsi with all things men's soccer.
Thanks, Jake and Leo. With the regular season winding down, the men's soccer team had 2 games last week. On Wednesday, the Profs traveled to Union, New Jersey to play Kane under the lights. Johnny Troiano scores his 13th goal in the 13th minute. The Profs go up in the half 1-0. In the second half, Evan Schlotterbeck scores in the 59th minute for his 3rd goal of the year, making it 2-0. No team could score after that, ending in a shutout for the Profs. On Saturday, the Profs went up north to Mahwah, New Jersey to play Ramapo. The Profs scored first thanks to Johnny Troiano scoring in the 25th minute. In the second half, Ryan Gale scores his 1st goal of the year. Then 71 seconds later, Troiano scores his 2nd of the night, making it 3-0. In the 86th minute, Cam Lamptey scores for the Profs to make it 4-0. With 45 seconds left in the match, Gavin Mullen scores for Ramapo to avoid the shutout, and the Profs win 4-1. The Profs are at home against TCNJ on Wednesday night for the last game of the regular season before the NJAC tournament begins this Saturday. I'm Dylan Corsi. Back to you.
Thanks, Dylan. Rowan women's volleyball has been red hot these past few weeks. To see if the Profs continued their winning ways, here's downtown Luke Brown with the latest.
Thanks, guys. It was another busy 4-match week for the Rowan women's volleyball team. It was a week that started at Kane University, a loss that snapped a 10-game win streak for the Profs and handed Rowan their first in-conference loss in the NJAC. The Profs bounced back well with wins over Rutgers Camden, Misericordia, and Albright. The 3-0 win over Rutgers Camden improved Rowan's conference record to 5-1. Junior Abby Chadwick tallied 10 kills in the win, her 10th time with double-figure numbers in kills. Sophomore defensive specialist Gabriella Cooper led the team in digs with 11, while also tallying 3 service aces over Rutgers Camden. Rowan still is unbeaten at home with a home record of 9-0, as Rowan and Kane co-lead the NJAC standings at 5-1. From Esby Gymnasium, I'm Luke Brown. Back to you guys.
Thank you, downtown Luke Brown. Field hockey has continued to tear up the NJAC. The last time we checked in with Coach Andre's team, they had won 8 straight games and found themselves 14th in the country. The question remains the same. Will the win streak continue? Here's Nick Wilson with more.
Thanks, guys. The Rowan field hockey team kept it rolling this week, going into their games against William Patterson on Thursday and on the road against Christopher Newport on Saturday. On Thursday night, the Profs clinched their 5th straight NJAC regular season title with a dominating 7-0 win over William Patterson. Freshman Sydney Kowalczyk exploded for a hat trick in the first quarter of play, with senior Katie Meehan getting her first goal of the season early in the second. Rowan outshot the Pioneers 19-0 and locked down the shutout with all 4 goalkeepers for Rowan getting time in the game. Then on Saturday, the Profs had a long trip down to Virginia to face the #1 team in the nation, Christopher Newport. The captain struck early with 3 goals in the first half, and the Profs couldn't answer back. Despite the loss, the defense still performed, with goalie Mariah Giuliano having a career-high 16 saves in the game. Going 1-on-1 on the week, the Profs are now 14th in the nation, moving to 13-4 overall in the season, and still remain undefeated at the top of the NJAC. For All Access with the Profs, I'm Nick Wilson reporting from Richard Wacker Stadium. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Nick. You know, Leo, there's certainly a fall breeze in the air, which can only mean one thing: winter's coming. And I'm not a fan of cold weather, the snow, or anything winter wonderlandish. But the chill in the air does make me excited for one reason, and that's because basketball is back, specifically Profs basketball.
You know, Jake, I did hear the Profs played a D1 team in the Ryder Bronx on Saturday. Now, although Rowan fell short to the Bronx by only 12 points, I still think it's a very respectable result, Jake. Honestly, I would hate to be the Bronx because after having to battle against the Profs, Ryder has to turn around and play the Virginia Cavaliers in their first regular season game.
Yeah, well, Leo, thankfully for the Profs, it's only an exhibition game. Men's basketball has one more warm-up before the regular season where they match up against the Penn Quakers on November 7th. I do have to give a shout out to my good friend, Brian McLernan, who's actually a film student at Rider University. And while it's still early, I have a feeling that Rowan men's basketball season will be absolute cinema.
You know, I will actually be at that game against Penn. I'll be in attendance, and I can tell you, Jake, we've got the script for it, okay? Can't wait to see how the Profs are able to do at the Palestra, and hopefully they'll have some movie magic on their side.
Well, the Palestra in itself is a magical place and a beautiful venue. Hopefully Rowan can have a Cinderella showing against the Quakers to start off their season right. And since we're on the topic of movies, I'd love to see head coach Eric Brennan deliver a speech like head coach Herman Boone in Remember the Titans.
You know, well, let's just hope he doesn't shove his foot in any John Brown hind parts or make me run a mile. But I think that's enough hoop talk. Let's take a break, and when we come back, it's Ian Harper's calendar segment. We'll be right back here on All Access with the Profs.
I wonder if you know that I want the best for you. But how long will you fight solo? I wonder if you know that we can get help. Not wondering anymore. Love, your mind.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.
We are back with All Access with the Profs. I am Ian Harper, and I'm here once again to give you all the information you need to follow the upcoming Rowan Athletics action this week. For the second straight week, we're getting started with some mid-show women's volleyball as the Profs square off against the Rutgers Newark Scarlet Raiders in a matchup that tipped off tonight at 7 p.m. While it has already begun, you can still head over to the SB Gymnasium to catch the latter half. It is also Volley Boo night with free prizes to anyone who shows up in a costume and a chance to compete in fun halftime contests for Rowan swag and even more freebies. Wednesday night marks the last of the midweek Profs contests, and we get started at 6 p.m. with number 11 women's soccer. The squad continues its push for a top 10 ranking as they head to TCNJ to face the Lions in their last regular season game. The 14th ranked Rowan field hockey team is also on the road and at the same time, with their opponent being the Salisbury Seagulls. Now back here at home, men's soccer has not lost since October 4th, and they look to carry their momentum into the NJAC tournament as they close it out the regular season with TCNJ. A quick break in the action takes us now to Saturday, turning the calendar to November with some playoff games on the horizon. There is a lot of uncertainty with this weekend's schedule, so let's just start with what we know. Both swim teams travel to Salisbury for a noon meet as they each look to improve to 3-0 in the early season. Field hockey hosts Montclair State in the second of 3 Profs bouts at noon, with football hitting the road against 6-1 TCNJ to complete the trifecta. Let's now finally get into some NJAC tournament talk, why don't we? Rowan soccer crews start their quest for a conference title with their first steps being the quarterfinals. Neither opponent nor time has been released for the respective teams, with information set to be finalized later this week. Cross country travels to Stockton for the NJAC Championships, wrapping up another incredible week of Profs athletic events. We've got a little bit of a different arrangement this week, and before we send it over to the high-stakes debate stage, it's time to just get a little more analytical. Bringing it back to everyone's favorite Rowan Athletics breakdowns, here is Mason Kinahan with the latest edition of Tape Talk.
Thanks, Ian. I'm Mason Kinahan, and welcome back to Tape Talk, where we'll be breaking down the biggest plays from Rowan Athletics throughout the fall semester. Today, we'll be looking at Rowan football's matchup against Salisbury. The Profs fought hard, but ultimately fell short 31-28 against the number 4 team in the country. But how close were the Profs really from picking up the win? Well, let's dive into the tape and find out. Let's take a deeper dive into the play that actually sealed this game for the Salisbury Seagulls. 1:47 to go here in the fourth quarter. It is third down, 3rd and 5 for Salisbury. Rowan at this point only has 1 timeout remaining, so they're trying to get a stop and potentially help their offense either tie or win this game in regulation. Salisbury is going to call a tight formation here. Cyrus McGowan is right here. He's the starting quarterback for Salisbury. He's had a great game up until this point. Salisbury loves to go run, and in this scenario, you would definitely expect a run if you're Rowan. Rowan is going to match this tight formation by going 5 guys on the line of scrimmage themselves. They're going to have their 2 outside cornerbacks, Jay Nyala and CJ Carter, kind of pinch up against the line of scrimmage to help stop anything going out on the edge. Now, for Salisbury, they're going to try and go misdirection at first and potentially catch Rowan off guard. You'll see Cyrus McGowan identifying the defense, seeing if he likes this play. Dario Belizaire for Salisbury. He's been a big-time weapon for the Seagulls so far in this game. He's going to go in motion from right to left, try and catch Rowan off guard with this misdirection. But Jay Nyala is going to man up against number 1. Everyone's going to be man in this scenario. Cyrus McGowan is going to be manned up against Xavier McBride. CJ Carter is going to be responsible for anything that is on the edge here for the Profs. All right, so Jay Nyala does a great job of being there with number 1, making sure that if the pitch, which is a fake from McGowan, actually ends up going into Belizaire's hands, Ayala is there to make the tackle. But look at the linebackers here for Rowan. You'll see Xavier McBride especially. He is not fooled by Cyrus McGowan in this scenario. Same with CJ Carter. He is sticking on the edge here. They know that there was going to be some misdirection on this play, and they're not fooled. McGowan does a little bit of a fake pitch, and he's going to run it himself. Here on the read option now, McGowan has a chance to either run and pick up the first down himself, which at this point in time, he is still 8 yards away from the first down marker here at the 50. He is only at the 42, 41 yard line for Salisbury, so still a long way to go. But what Rowan was not prepared for was Mason Fisher, the tight end right here for Salisbury. McGowan is going to have the opportunity to pitch the ball if needed to number 19 in white. Look at Xavier McBride on this play for Rowan. He does a great job of taking a great angle for the Profs, and he's able to not only make sure he doesn't get blocked, but he's going to be right there with Cyrus McGowan. He knew that McGowan, number 2 in white, was going to be the guy he's going to man up against. He's going to bring down McGowan at all costs. Well, at the very last second, McGowan's going to pitch this over to Mason Fisher. And you know, earlier how I mentioned CJ Carter, is his responsibility to have anything on the outside. In this scenario, he's going to take a couple steps inside and try and force McGowan into Xavier McBride. 2 guys go for 1 in the scenario against Salisbury, and ultimately McGowan's able to flip this over to Mason Fisher. CJ Carter all of a sudden loses the angle that he had on the ball carrier, and Mason Fisher not only is able to pick up the first down, but able to help seal this win for the Salisbury Seagulls. Rowan put up a great effort against Salisbury in this game, but ultimately fell short here against Salisbury. Even though the Profs lost, there's still a lot to love about this Rowan football team. They've cemented themselves in 3rd place in the NJAC with wins over William Patterson and the Breakfast Bowl win against Montclair State earlier this season. However, they're still looking for that ranked win against Christopher Newport or a team like Salisbury. Unfortunately, they're going to have to wait a whole nother year to try and have another attempt at picking up a big win. But that'll do it for myself, Mason Kinahan, here on Tape Talk on All Access with the Profs. Now let's send it over to Sam Prince and the debate segment. Sam, take it away.
Thank you, Mason. Welcome back to the debate segment of All Access with the Profs. I'm your host, Sam Prince. Alongside me today is Greg Mazzo, Keegan Thompson, and Gerasimo Strasalia. And Gerasimus, last week you won the debate. Congratulations, you're now 1-0.
Piece of cake.
And who would help the Profs lead the field hockey team back to the promised land? But this week, Gerasimus, can you make it back-to-back?
I'll try my best. We got an interesting topic today, Sam.
We do, and for this week's debate, we're going to talk about who on the Profs field hockey team is the best hitter. Remember to scan the QR code to pick the winner of the debate. Greg.
I'm going to go with the outstanding freshman, Jessica Smart. She leads the team in kills, and the second most kills on the team. She has over 100 more kills than what the second leader on the team has. She also leads the team in points as well, and her hitting percentage is close to 31% as well. She has elevated the Rowan Profs into a team that was having a couple down seasons and back-to-back seasons, has elevated them into one of the top dogs in the NJAC Conference. Jessica Smart has been doing it all this season.
And for me, personally, I'm going to say, we got to clarify that we're talking about Rowan volleyball, not field hockey. Quick slick of the tongue, we're still thinking about last week, but for me, I'm thinking only about Abby Chadwick, number 7, in her junior year for the Profs. She's got 182 kills on the year with only 431 attempts, which is lower than the other two players that we will be mentioning this evening. So she's got an excellent ratio. She's good on the field, and man, her spikes, she destroys blockers. But we're going to talk more on that later. Gerasimus, who you got?
I think it's very simple who I got. If you got to make a call, I think I know who to call. It's Jenna Call, all right? That's who I'm going to pick today. And listen, Jessica Smart, Abby Chadwick, phenomenal players. I've had to put that out there, phenomenal players. But I know they haven't been here for a while, but how many players do you think on this team has the ability to get to 1,000 kills in their career? 1,000 kills is what Jenna Cole has in her career. Last season, she led the team in kills. The year before that, she led the team in kills. She basically had over 300 kills in back-to-back years. This year, the only reason why she has less, and she is still second on the team behind, of course, the amazing Jessica Smart, but it's because she has a Jessica Smart. It's because she has an Abby Chadwick. But she's still, in my opinion, the best hitter because she's the most experienced. She has the veteran presence, and if I'm being honest, she's been a mentor to Abby Chadwick and Jessica Smart. You have to have that kind of player, and I think Jenna Cole has been the person that the women's volleyball team has called on this season.
Well, she obviously has more goals. She's played much longer. She's a senior. Jessica Smart is doing this as a freshman. I would even argue that Jessica Smart has had a better season than any of the seasons that Jenna Cole has had.
Oh, no.
That's right, I said it.
Let me interject. We're only talking about this season only, guys.
Yeah, let's be smart here. Jenna Cole all time is the better player.
Yeah, this season is better than any of the seasons that she has had. That's how good Jessica Smart has been as a freshman this year. She's been putting the NJAC on notice.
All right, we'll see if she can put the NJAC on notice and possible their future opponents. But guys, thank you for your expert analysis on who you think the best hitter on the Rowan volleyball team is. Now, please scan the QR code for who you think the winner of the debate was. If you want more information on what's going around the NJAC, then Shane Alexa has you covered all around the NJAC.
Thank you, Sam. Welcome back to another week of Around the NJAC. It's hectic, to say the least, right now in the NJAC. Playoff season is on the horizon for multiple sports, and the Profs are right in the middle of that chaos. To start it off, let's start with football. Unfortunately, with the Profs falling to Salisbury in a heartbreaker this weekend, they are now in that 4th spot in the NJAC behind TCNJ, who they play next weekend. A bright spot for the team, though, is Jaden Everett, who won NJAC Defensive Rookie of the Week after his first career pick 6. Turning to number 14th ranked field hockey, they clinched their 5th straight NJAC regular season championship last Wednesday, so the Profs will have some home field advantage throughout the NJAC tournament. Freshman Sydney Kovalchuk won NJAC Rookie of the Week for the 3rd time this season. Now looking at women's soccer. The Profs are ranked at number 11 in Division III and are 13-1-1 on the year. Montclair State holds that 2 seed, but they are 6-0-2 in the NJAC compared to the Profs' 7-0-1 record. The two teams tied on October 18th. Rowan will play TCNJ to finish off the season, while Montclair State will play Rutgers Camden. Rowan needs a win or a tie to clinch the NJAC regular season championship, which would grant them home field advantage throughout the tournament. Michaela Baker held the fort down for the Profs this week, winning NJAC Defensive Player of the Week. Now it's time to look at men's soccer. The Profs are currently in that 3 spot with TCNJ right behind them. If Rowan defeats TCNJ on Wednesday, they will clinch the 3 seed and host a playoff game. Johnny Troiano also won NJAC Offensive Player of the Week, and last but not least is volleyball. The Profs are in second place only behind Kane. Rowan and Kane are both 5-1 in the NJAC. If both teams win out, then Kane would get the 1 seed as they had the tiebreaker. In order for Rowan to get the 1 seed, they would need to win out, and Kane would have to lose 1 NJAC game. But that will do it for this week's segment of Around the NJAC. But don't go anywhere, because Jacob Michaud has more magic coming your way. Jacob, take it away.
Thank you, Shane. My name is Jacob Michaud, and welcome back to another week of My Magic Minute. 2 episodes ago, if you remember, I discussed the magical run the women's soccer team was on, and that magic has not run out. They still have not lost a match since September 13th and have only given up a total of 5 goals in 15 matches. Let's just say they still have plenty of tricks up their sleeves, especially senior Olivia Giordano, who recorded a hat trick on senior day. How fitting is that, ladies and gentlemen? Let's take a quick look at the magic behind one of those goals, and specifically the one that got her the hat trick. So let's roll the clip. You got Bella Moore. She's got the ball looking nonchalant, then all of a sudden just boots it right to Giordano. Excellent header. Excellent cross pass, and they've been doing that all year, ladies and gentlemen. And my goodness, that header looked like it came out of Nintendo Switch Sports. That animation just full force with the head perfectly placed in the top corner of the goal. And again, I just want to give a huge shout out as well to Bella Moore with that amazing pass. However, Giordano and Moore are not the only ones with the stunts. Take a look at this absolutely flawlessly placed corner by Addison Hammond to set up an Alexis Jurgowski goal. So let's roll the clip here. Again, just a beautiful crosser, almost straight to the net immediately, and Jurgowski just finishes it off. And again, they have just been doing that all year. The excellent cross passes into the box and setting up the easy scores. And look at this, 6-0, people. They are just a force to be reckoned with. And I swear that there is some actual sorcery behind that perfect pass. The most magical thing of all, though, is the overall teamwork and chemistry that this Prof squad has. It truly never comes down to just one person, and that is why this team has been so successful this year. That is all the magic I've got in me for this week. Let's send it over to Jordan Weisinger as he'll discuss the magic going on outside of the Prof's nest. Take it away, Jordan.
Thanks, Jacob. Welcome back to the weekly sports news segment. I am Jordan Weisinger. The magic of October continues to roll on as we are already 3 games into the World Series. To quickly recap what has happened so far, the Blue Jays won Game 1 with a scoring onslaught of 11 runs. In Game 2, Yoshinobu Yamamoto went the distance, striking out 8 and retiring his last 20 batters. And now for Game 3. We got 2 full games of baseball in last night. Can you believe that? After the Dodgers and Blue Jays played a full 18 innings. Both teams used literally every bullpen arm they had on the roster in what almost led to the Dodgers using a position player. Remember Yamamoto's complete game I mentioned earlier? He was getting ready to pitch in the 19th inning. Luckily for him, Freddie Freeman walked it off over the center field fence in an instant classic. Will Klein got the win, throwing 4 innings in relief to cap off the longest game in World Series history. Now on to F1, where the Mexican Grand Prix wrapped up in dominating fashion after Lando Norris picked up his 6th win of the season, finishing over 30 seconds ahead of second-place Charles Leclerc. Norris pulls exactly 1 point ahead of Oscar Piastri in the driver's standings after he finished in 5th. Oliver Behrman finished ahead of Piastri in 4th and single-handedly impacted the championship race. Not only that, but he also gave Haas their best result since 2018. With only 4 races left, the McLaren teammates will be racing each other for the 2025 championship. The next Grand Prix is in Sao Paulo 2 weekends from now. On to the other motorsport. NASCAR enters its final race of the 2025 season this upcoming Sunday in Phoenix for the Championship 4. The final race of the round of 8 was last Sunday at the Martinsville Speedway, where William Byron clinched a spot in the championship by narrowly beating out Ryan Blaney to win the Xfinity 500. Byron joins Briscoe and Hamlin of Toyota and Joe Gibbs Racing and Kyle Larson in the Championship 4. Larson is the only one of the 4 who have previously won a NASCAR Cup Series championship. And finally, to the NBA, where the association is back and on NBC. And Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs are leading 4-0. Wemby is off to a hot start. The 7'4" big man is averaging 31 and 14 through 4 games with nearly 5 blocks a game. This could be his breakout season NBA fans have been waiting for. And now, let's send it back to Jake and Leo to close out this week's episode. This is Jordan Weisinger signing off.
Thanks, Jordan. It sure was an incredible week of sports around the country. I'm just happy to see that the Sixers are back in action again. The rookie VJ Edgecombe is generating some energy with his flashy dunks and his three-point bombs.
Yeah, the Sixers looked great. I had my worries after Embiid's first game against Boston, but he came back with 20 points in 20 minutes in the home opener. I went to the game this past weekend, and the crowd was rocking. I mean, it's certainly great to have them back. I love hearing the starting lineups announced, though, because nothing sounds better to my ears than Sixers public address announcer Matt Cord saying, standing at 7'2", from Cameroon, number 21, Joel, the process, Embiid. I mean, I've got goosebumps just thinking about it.
You know, I got some goosebumps, too. I feel my hair standing up. But I think SB Gymnasium might have the edge in terms of energy. When the Profs are hot, the building can be as loud as anywhere.
And I'd argue that SB Gymnasium has some more advantages than the Sixers arena that they play in. For starters, SB Gymnasium has a much better name than Xfinity Mobile Arena. And secondly, SB gets packed to the gills with a rowdy student section. And in a tight game, in that atmosphere, I wouldn't want to be on the free throw line on the opposing team to try and ice the game.
No, you're completely right, Jake, because I cannot hear myself think in that place when it gets going.
SB certainly gets rocking and rolling throughout the year. But that'll do it for all of us here on All Access with the Profs. Alongside Leo West, I'm Jake Clark. And as always, go Profs!